Hello, my outstanding friends. It's a sad day in Mudville. I used to have some heroes that I thought were really out looking for understanding and information. And I come to find out that on every single side, that just isn't the case. I figured that with my information, I literally wrote the book on giants in history and mythology and all of that stuff. And I went to the people that have been speaking about this, and I have been shunned. I mean, literally shunned. I didn't realize that Giorgio Tsoukalos and Eric von Däniken had this page. Somebody said, they got Ancient Alien page. Why don't you go up there and put your stuff up? Oh, I said, ooh, that's a good idea. So I go up here to Ancient Aliens. I see the ball. So I make a comment about it, and instantly they block me. The admin has temporarily turned off your commenting. I can't comment at all on here. This is their page. They're supposed to be Ancient Aliens, looking for Ancient Aliens. I have all of this stuff. And look at the things that they do allow. This is okay. I don't care about that. This is Nostradamus, the Antichrist. That's okay. Look at this. They got the little blobby looking things here, and boy, that's fabulous. Everybody's having a good time talking about that. And the ball, everybody wanted to talk about that, except I can't. And this kind of stuff. Let me show you what they're showing here. Let me show you what I can present. And they won't allow me to. And this is straight across the board. This is not an exception whatsoever. I was allowed to post in this group the other day. Out of the blue, they asked me if I would be a group expert. I said, wow, that's fabulous. I did. I came in, I made a couple of comments, and whew, the stuff hit the fan. And they got a big bump in the number of subscribers. But it was a chaos. But now I just received another notice. They said, you can post anything you want, anytime you want. There's no restrictions. And that's the only time I've ever heard anything like that. Usually it's don't ever come back here again. You're an idiot. You're a tinfoil hat guy. You know, where did you come from? Da-da-da-da-da, on and on and on. But this, I can't believe these guys forced me away. They're showing things like this. Let me show you what I can show. All right, this is what I can put forward. Now, I don't have access to this anymore, but this was sent to me by, I didn't. All right, they're looking for Ancient Aliens. How about this? This, if you understand the way skin peels and it peels off as it decays, you'll understand this is quite real. And I believe this is actually red blood up in here because it was a red-blooded creature. Look at his neck. This is down where his neck was. You see the red blood here? Here's his throat coming up through. The lips are different than and the eyes, obviously. His little nose is here, and that's about as alien as you get. Now, this shot is showing straight forward. It looks like he has a collar around some kind of a spacesuit or something. Because here it is sideways. Hold on, where did he go? Here he is. You see it sideways? It looks like he's got some kind of collar around his head, and he's got like 2 ears or something. I don't know. And that's where that red spot was in the top. Now, it appears that all creatures are red-blooded, because I'm going to show you another one. It looks like a naga. Now, that's pretty alien to me. I don't see why I should be excluded from being able to post there. I think you should go up there and say, Giorgio, Eric, what's going on, man? What's going on with you guys? I thought you were looking for aliens. They were looking for something, not just to dismiss somebody that has evidence. All right, how about this for an alien head? This is real, and I'm going to show you why I can make those statements. This is up in Washington State. A friend of mine, Kim, has this head. Now, this one I have access to. The other alien one, this one here, this is sold, it's gone. This was Heath Bowman sent me these pictures, and he had just sold it. But anyway, this is Kim's, and she still has this. Now, here it is right here. Now, I'm going to show you this in detail, and it has like a cobra crown, and I think it had in these little brow ridges. I think it had hair. And here's what it looks like. The only thing I can match it close to is this. It has a little crownish looking thing, and then this coming down, but I don't see the ears. Anyway, here we go. Let's look into this deeply, because this is very, very interesting. This is what the head looks like right here. Now, wherever you see the reddish look, that's where there's a little bit of blood coming out. And it's cracked in the back, in the crown, and the blood is coming out of there. But you can see, this is like where blood congeals, and it comes out of the head. It's drifted down out of the head. They just found a fossilized brain, and it had all kinds of iron in it, and they put it in some kind of X-ray machine or something, and MRI, and I don't know what happened to it, but there was too much iron in it. And this is all iron that's coming out of here. It's all the transition metals that are in blood. Now, the skin, the nose is completely different tissue than it is here on the face. I have another shot to show that somewhere here. Right here, look. You see the difference from here to here? And the same thing on my guy here, Caesar. His nose is the same way, his beak right here. If you could see that in a microscope, which I have looked at, it's just a tad different than it is here. And there's his feathers. All these things preserved exceptionally well. But inside, I put a little water on here because you can see things much better. Whenever you get water on something, you can see the transition metals show up, because they go into what they call aqueous solution, and you can see them very nicely. And this is a goose, and that is some kind of creature that was here pre-flood. This is all pre-flood stuff. Now remember, here's what it looks like looking at it from the front here. Okay, so the lips have a different tissue, the eyes have a different tissue, the soft skin is a little different. And then it has this crown, and in the back it's all rippled. Now let me show you the back where somebody smashed its head in. And here's the back. You see that? That's blood. All right, this thing got smashed in the head, and now would that crown come out like this? I think so. I think this had like a cobra crown. That's all I can take from that. But it is exceptionally interesting. And I looked at this, there's no question it's real. Absolutely none. This is, when it's very, very dried out, you see how it a totally different look to it? I believe all of these little spots right up here were where hair came out. If it's like the other Naga, that's all I can say. I don't know, maybe they're nothing. I have no idea. But I think, see how it's like wrinkly? I think that thing could puff up and make a crown. Now, and underneath, she dresses things up like dolls and so forth. She had a headdress on here and all kinds of stuff. But this is the throat. This down here is the chin. This is the throat right here. All right, you see it? That's the throat. It comes up like this. It looks like a forked tongue. This is the tongue coming up over the top like that. You see that circle? You gotta look real careful. You see this circle right here? You see that circle right there? Look at them closely. And then there's the center of it. This, to me, is some kind of vertebra or whatever. But this was sliced off just as clean as can be. And these colors, the red and black, is the artery and the vein. I have some shots showing that here somewhere. All right, a little dark, but you can see it. You see the reddishness here? Hold on. Let me turn off all the lights here so that all we can see is the light coming at us. You see the reddishness around here? That reddishness? That is black as black gets. That's the vein. That's the artery. And this is at the bottom of this creature's neck. I mean, we all have a vein and an artery going up to our head. And Then this one here was from Jim Burchell and Arlie Caudle. Now look at the nose. It's splayed back. Nobody carves a head like that with the nose back and the cartilage of the nose sticking out. And this is red blood. Right? That is red and black blood, which is the two oxygenation states of blood. Blood is extremely dense. In your brain is just a ton of blood. As a matter of fact, as I think I mentioned, they had a thing today about a brain that they found, and they say it's thousands of years old. We'll take a look at that in a second. But this, somebody caved this guy's head in. Now, we had this CAT scan, because I tried to present this to Yale. They said, oh, you'd have to have a CAT scan, this and that. We did all that stuff. They still refused to engage. This was shown on TV. And in less than 1 minute, Scott Walter dismissed it as being carved. It's just iron oxide. This is silly. And it destroyed that. This is 10 years ago. And I tried to work with Jim Burchell and Arlie Caudle, the nicest people you ever want to meet. And I led them down a path of just craziness. They spent a whole bunch of money to get this thing CAT scan, do all the things. I said, don't worry, we can prove this is true. It doesn't matter. You can't prove anything to somebody that won't look. And that's what happened. Yale refused. All of them refused. And this is no question, this is real. I mean, absolutely. You'd have to be an idiot to think somebody carved a nose like that. You see what that nose looks like? Who the hell would do that? And who would put some red blood on there in the nose? And this is red blood up there. This guy's got a cap on. You see that? That's the weave of a cap. And Jim told me that they could take I've never had this in my hands, but I don't need to put something in my hands. I understand the colors. I understand exactly everything about this. He said though they could put a playing card up underneath where the cap comes down on the side. And in less than 1 minute on History Channel, on TV, Scott Walter said, oh, this is nothing. And I went back and I said, Scott, we got to talk. He said, what do you want to talk about? I said, this is real. He says, I'm the hero here and you're nothing, so just forget about it. Don't bother me again. I said, I could show you all this stuff is real. And it didn't matter. And it doesn't matter. Even like to the ancient alien guys, they don't care. I just can't believe what's happened. I've presented all my stuff to the Christian people, all of these evangelists, and everybody wants to know about God and about giants and dragons. And all. They refuse to discuss it too. I've been blocked everywhere there. I've been blocked on virtually every channel there is, and it's just, and I can't understand it. I cannot understand the human mind anymore. It's just totally lost. And then, of course, there's the giant hair follicle. There's where the erector pili muscle attaches right there. This right here is the sebaceous gland. That's the hair shaft coming up through, and this is the root. And down at the bottom is the vein and the artery, those two little spots here. This is 1,000 times bigger than ours. I don't know what kind of a creature it's from, but there's nothing around today that has a root ball like this for a hair. And if it was a human, it would mean that this person would be about a mile tall. So we're talking about things that I have evidence. I'm not just making silly statements. And these other people are showing little blips in the sky and making their aliens, and they love that kind of stuff. But my stuff, forget about it. I can't understand it. I just can't understand it anymore. Colleges have become nothing more than an indoctrination center, and everybody else has so much opinions that they can't let their mind open up to see what's in front of their face. And I just can't even imagine having a mind set of anybody anymore that I interact with. It's just, and I know I keep harping on this, but I just can't believe it. The people that are here with me now, you probably are one of the very, very rare and special people. I'm telling you right now, you are rare and special if you can let your mind see what your eyes see. because there's a disconnect, or a connect, one or the other. As far as I can tell, it's a major disconnect with humanity right now between reality and what they want to believe. The reality means nothing anymore. It's opinion and polarization. Okay, so I'm going to leave it on that. Giorgio, Eric, don't you guys want to know about these kind of things I'm showing? I think you guys should come up here and talk to Giorgio and Eric and say, what's going on? Roger's a real deal. He's not a guy that's just a silly guy. I'm turned off. Your profile has been suspended in this group. I was only there for 5 minutes. All right, I love you all. All right, check this out. This is the woman who really started everything, was Mary Schweitzer. This was in 2005. She took a dinosaur bone or a horn or something, and she put it in some acid, and it etched away all of the mineralized stuff, and she got down to the soft tissue, and she could pull it around. She could see it was the fascia, basically the membranes, and the connective tissue stayed. And she says, this thing can't be 100 million years old, 200 million years old, whatever they say. So they went after her with a vengeance. She was on 60 Minutes and everything. She showed all the stuff on 60 Minutes. And they came after her and they tried to destroy her. And here's what she says: I don't care what they say about me. She stares down at critics. She's still looking for more dinosaur protons. I have all the things that she's looking for here in red blood of creatures that were before the dinosaurs. It's just dinosaurs were after the flood. The dinosaurs were post-flood. I have stuff pre-flood, blood gushing out of it. And I contacted her, and she wouldn't talk to me. So I figured a way of getting through to her by... So I called the guy in the room next to her in the same place where she worked, and I got a hold of the guy, and I said, I got an emergency call for Mary Schweitzer. And she talked to me and said, don't call me again. I only do my own stuff anyway. So she didn't want anything to do with me. The guy that she was working with, Mark Armitage, they fired him because he found the same thing. So anyway, this goes way back. This goes back to 2005. She found it. Now, I don't know, I don't remember when I contacted her. Maybe it was 2010, somewhere around there. And by this time, she was, I think, pretty well burnt out because she was attacked something terrible. And this is what happens. They do it to everybody. So it's not just me, and it wasn't just Velikovsky. Velikovsky, the same thing. They destroyed his life, literally destroyed his life for about, I think he died 29 years after putting out the book Worlds in Collision, which is what I found is everybody on the face of the planet had the same story, and all of the things I found back up those stories. And they also back up the Greek mythology, which is also very heavily intertwined with biblical accounts and every single other account on the face of the planet. It's not just the Bible. There was all kinds of texts about what happened in these ancient times. And this is what we're not allowed to explore because it overthrows everything that we've been taught, literally everything. And it introduces, no question, God. And then you go to Jesus Christ. And then you go looking at what academia says about these things. They tell you, don't talk about that here. We don't allow it. Now, that's not right. First of all, because now the evidence supports it. She's a creationist. This is what happened. She got a hold of Jack Horner, who was the guy that did the Jurassic Park stuff about dinosaurs and how they all did this and that. And she said, I'm a creationist. He says, yeah, well, I'm an atheist. And then she took his course. And she's very good, so trust me, I'm sure she did a very outstanding job, but he gave her a C because she had a different opinion. And she presented evidence, because he said, this is all about evidence. She says, yes, exactly. And they went back and forth, and he ended up giving her a C. She was outraged. And and this is the same thing that happens to everybody. You can't stand up for yourself. They control you. They own you. You pay them, then you have to say what they tell you to say, or they tell everybody you're a fool, and you don't know what you're doing because you couldn't say what they told you to say. You just couldn't learn. See, all she did was find soft tissue. I'm finding blood and body parts and giants and dragons and everything else. And this goes in 2016. She said, I heard Mary Schweitzer describe her groundbreaking work at a Biologos conference and was intrigued. A late arrival to academia, she unsettled long-accepted tenets of paleontology and became a target for criticism on several fronts, on every front. I wanted to learn more, and I'm grateful to Mary for taking the time to talk. Well, if somebody's listening, we're willing to talk. Problem is, the people that should be listening are so vindictive against people like me and like Mary and like my hero Immanuel Velikovsky. They are, because it overthrows their grip on the youth. They own society now. They are the owners of society. If you go against them, they can literally destroy your life. And that's what's happened. It's a disgrace, really, as far as education goes. Absolute disgrace. One last thing. Here it is right here. Iron preserves, hides ancient tissues and fossil remains. It's Mary Schweitzer again. That's from 2013. And today, this came in about a human brain had been mysteriously preserved for thousands of years. And guess what? It's all got to do with the iron. All right, study of the brain naturally preserved for thousands of years, and then they come down to talk about the iron. I don't have the time to go through that, but it's because of the iron. I better go through this. This is that same brain. It just came out today. 12,000-year-old preserved human brain defies soft tissue decay assumptions. The assumptions, and they're just wrong about it. The iron is what preserves them, and they did. And Mary Schweitzer said this. She knew this years ago. I did too. And they say it's the first organ to decay after death, usually. Well, it depends on the conditions it was found in. And during the great saltwater hot flood, with a lot of aluminum silicates and boiling waters, they preserved flawlessly. And you can see, there's the blood. I have the same stuff. I got it everywhere. And somewhere down here it talks about the iron. And I guess when they put it in to be looked at in some kind of a machine, I think it was an MRI, there was just too much iron or something happened. It exploded or something. I can't remember. Somebody told me. I can't remember what they said happened. Hold on a second. All right, so here's the paper on this. It just came out. It's 13 hours ago. Human brains have been mysteriously preserved for thousands of years. All right, and that's the brain, and it talks about 1,000-year-old brain of an individual excavated from a churchyard in Ypres, Belgium. The folds of the tissue, which are still soft and wet, are stained orange with iron oxides. Well, that's because of its blood. And they put this apparently in an MRI machine or another brain that was just another saturated bloody brain. And I don't know exactly what happened, but they said it was a big mistake. Now, this guy died with his head down this way and all the blood running down into his brain, and that's why it preserves so well. I find where feet and toes and so forth are down, they preserve very well because the blood ends up draining down into that, and iron is what preserves it. Mary Schweitzer was correct. She was 100% right. Let me just show you one last thing, and then we're going to call it quits. All right, this is why hearts and lungs preserve so well. They're just nothing but blobs of blood. You have so much blood flowing through, you just can't even imagine. Every single cell in your body has to be continuously serviced with fresh blood. This is incredible. The amount of plumbing in your body just is spectacular. These lungs, I have lungs coming out of my ears because they saturate with blood and they preserve. This one here was DNA tested and CAT scanned as well. I drilled a hole down in through and got red blood, just a smidge of it. You don't have to get a ton of it. And very carefully and thoughtfully, and took it out and sent it off to the lab to be tested for DNA. And they did a very extensive test on that and 2 other specimens, and they all came back human mitochondrial DNA, which is the mother side. This one literally had blood coming out of it. It was like this in the ground, and they preserved during this hot saltwater flood. All of the flesh boiled away and left the organs. And that's the blood that came out. This is actual literal blood that blobbed out from this lung. This really upsets everybody. And especially this. This is human. There's no question about it. I have the DNA reports available for anybody to see. They're online. Now, and then I also show a ton of fingertips because they have saturated with blood as well. Same thing with your toes. Livers, hearts, lungs, fingertips, and toes. Brains, yes. But it also depends on the inclination of the body when they died. If they were this way and the feet were that way, then the feet are going to get saturated with blood. If they were this way, the feet are going to empty and the head will get saturated because it's down this way. It's all specific gravity. And then there's places that are dense with blood and places that aren't. The fingertips are dense. The hearts, lungs, liver's dense. It's all about the iron and metals. Basically, it's metals in the blood. All right, so here's my friend Gary Evans over in England. He goes into this mud flat and he sees this chunk of mud and he sees this sticking out and he thinks, I wonder what that is. So he picks it up and brings it home. So it dries up a little bit and he breaks off a piece and guess what he finds inside of this ball of mud or whatever it was? Well, he finds this. And he said, I wonder what that is. And I know precisely what that is. You do too. It's a lung. These are the fibers and the tubules of the lung. All of that is black blood. All right? The blood will turn that color when it deoxygenates, and that's what's happened here. Now, so he takes it and I have some more. Oh, this is another shot of it. Here, he's got it soaked it wet, so you can see these are actually where the same. I have a lung here. Same thing with this lung. Inside it, if this was broken off that way, you'd see the same thing. You'd see all these little tubes running all over the place to these different holes. All of those tubes run down, and then they end up going down to the main tube, and that's how. And you go like that, and it goes through all these different places. You don't just breathe in and it just happens one big bag. They got to go to every single one of these little alveoli, which is the little alveoli are tiny, tiny, tiny little balls. I showed that somewhere here. Here, right here. You see these? These are the alveoli. They're little tiny balls. The air comes down in here and it has to go through all these little tubes to get to these balls, which are where the air gets absorbed. And that's where these tubes are. So this is a lung. It was in a mud flat. And this is the red blood. This is used blood. And there's some more red blood here. And that's what it does. They cycle blood around. Now, and then after about a week, out and dried out. See, the whole key is as long as you keep something really wet and moist, or it's in the right conditions, it'll last literally forever. If there's a lot of blood, they will last forever. And as soon as he took it out of here, let me see if I have that shot. Hold on. All right, that lung that I showed you that Gary had, after it dried out for only a week or so, it just turned into powder. Just the blood and everything all just turned into little tiny powder, and it would actually be mud. If you put that in water and souped it all up, you'd have mud. That's what mud is eroded, decayed, dissolved flesh. Now, this is different than the conditions my lungs were in. My lungs preserved just like they came out of the box. They were just absolutely flawlessly brand new. As I showed you, if I can find them. Yeah, here it is. That one there still has all the pleura. It has all the red blood is still in it. All the plumbing is there, and you know, you could almost transplant the damn thing. This one there, all the pleura is stripped away, and you end up with this. I have other ones that are in between. Have some of the pleura is hanging off this way, and you can see the alveoli in the other side. Hold on, I think I got it right here. Yep, here it is right here. You see, this is another lung. And they're all flat on the back like that because they died in a great flood. They boiled out of a creature's body, and this seam broke. You see the seam here? Same deal, same scene. These are the alveoli, right here, just like this is. And the pleura has gone away and moved over. And they're flat because this is from the flood. They're all basically all flat. Here's the other one. This is the one right here. You see how flat it is on the back? That's that same lung. And that's where the heart would have been, right there, pushed up against it, died flat in the ground like this, flat like a pancake. And the heart was right here. This is a left human lung. Talk to any doctor. What we need to do is get somebody that has more than one little expertise that they're so thrilled about that everything else means nothing. You have to have a series of understandings to be able to understand chemistry, biology, anatomy, history, if the invasion process, nucleophilic invasion, all the different enzymes and chemistry of the blood and metals and all that stuff, transitioning of all these things, ancient texts. Without that, you're just a one pony show. You don't have enough to really understand what you're seeing. And that's what I found. And the ones that don't understand what they're seeing, they're so confident about what they believe that they don't want to have anything to do with anybody else. And that's why I have become sort of persona non grata. This goes way back. And that was the head. And that was the one that Scott Walters dismissed in less than 1 minute on TV. That destroyed virtually everything. That's a no-to. I have dozens, lots and lots of these. And everybody does. You can find them almost anywhere. But you got to look for them and understand what you're seeing. And here's one right here. As a matter of fact, that's the one right in the picture. See it? It's a foot. And that's where the tibia comes down, the main bone of your leg, and over here is where the fibula would sit on the side, the second bone. And this almost looks like it has a sole built into it, but I'm almost 100% certain this is the guy's foot, not a shoe. And this little circle right there, if you can see that, and this spring structure here, I think was how they had tendons. And they didn't have tendons like we have. We have no toes. And instead of having toes built in, they have springs. This was all pre-flood. This died in the flood too, and this was the flat side. It died like that. And this is the wrinkle zone because this had to move up and down like that a little bit. So that's, I have so much stuff that has not been examined. That's the key. I'd love to see it examined and see what do they have to say about it, and then what do we have to say about it. I've done a lot of work on this, and I just showed you things that surpass anything that anybody's showing, and they've been here for years and years and years. Just dismissed, and finally I'm starting to get pretty vocal, and people are starting to understand. They realize we're being literally deceived by the ones we're going to be taught by, the ones we're going for our education. They don't really care. To me, I see it as against learning. It's indoctrination now. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hate to always go off on a bad note, but when you see the things I'm showing you, to have them not even respond to my emails or questions or comments and be blocked virtually everywhere from speaking. And again, this is not new. Velikovsky from forever. It's been forever. They will isolate you. They will try to demean you and belittle you and call you all kind of crazy names and make everybody think you're an insane person. And it works. It worked really good. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. But I think you guys should go up on and talk to Giorgio and the rest of them and see what they have to say. Why are they blocking me? I'm the one that found all this stuff. I'm way ahead of these people. This just came out 13 hours ago. I have stuff that's gushing blood.